What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Haunted Beard. My name is Jake. Well, today I decided I wanted to bring to you another installment of my favorite movies. And today I'm going to be talking about The Thing, the John Carpenter classic from 1982. One of, in my opinion, the best horror films of all time, and certainly one of my favorite movies. Let's talk about it. Now, The Thing tells a story of this research team in Antarctica who are at first kind of unknowingly invaded by this shape-shifting alien who is able to take the form of its victims. And pretty much everything about this movie works for me at a very high level, even right down to the title reveal at the very beginning. So first off, I really like the opening scene. I think it just starts right in the middle of the action as there's this helicopter that's flying over the Arctic landscape, and the people inside are shooting at this husky dog as the dog makes its way into the Americans' research facility. And it's just kind of this mysterious and intriguing way to start off the movie. It's just this nice situation that puts us right in the middle of the action and kind of gets us wondering, what's going on? Why are they trying to kill this dog? And then there's this huge sort of confrontation, shootout, then the helicopter explodes, and it just starts things off with a bang, and I really like the opening. And I really like what Carpenter does here with the husky dog, as if you're watching this for the first time, you're intrigued because you don't really know what's going to happen, obviously, right? And so there's just kind of these sort of subtle implicating clues that this dog isn't exactly what you think it is, and you don't really know what it is, but you know something's off. There's even just this little sequence that I really like as the camera shows the dog walking down the hallway, and then it just walks into a room, and you see the guy's shadow, and that's it. And it's just kind of this little sort of subtle implication that something mysterious, something's a little off with this dog. And it's just kind of a small detail, a small scene in this movie, but I really like it. Now, obviously, the setting in this movie is great. If you're going to tell this type of story, what better way to have this thing set in the frozen Arctic tundra of complete isolation, and the setting is just perfect. And watching this movie again just last night, I kind of forgot that there's actually a decent amount of humor, at least in the opening half hour or so. Just some of the banter back and forth between some of the guys at the facility. And also, too, Kurt Russell's hat is good for a laugh. The next sequence, Kurt Russell and one of the other guys, they take the helicopter and go visit the Norwegians' camp to try to figure out what in the world's going on. And they find the dig spot, and the whole camp is pretty much burned down, and they find the dig spot. And again, it's just kind of adding these questions of what in the world are we dealing with here? Then they find the sort of mutilated body thing outside the camp, and they take it back over and then reveal it to the guys. And just as the audience watching that, you're just like, what in the world are we in for? This is unlike anything we have seen before. And I love just the build up in that opening half hour that really kind of sets the vibe for the rest of the movie, that lets us know we're in for something different. And about half an hour in, the doctor, played by Wilford Brimley, gives us kind of the exposition scene as he really kind of tells us what exactly this thing is. And now we kind of really understand the full implications of what we're in for. And this is when you can first start seeing the paranoia and the fear setting into these guys. And it's just that fear and paranoia that this film is just overflowing with that makes this thing so great. Now we get to the point in the movie where we finally get to see the thing, and it's the husky dog that starts to transform. Obviously, you can't talk about The Thing without talking about just the absolutely masterful and incredible practical effects, and probably the best I've ever seen in any horror movie. And I know I'm not really saying anything new here. This movie is the cream of the crop when it comes to practical effects for horror films. And man, it's just incredible. Each time I watch it, I'm still just blown away. And this scene right when we get to see the reveal of the thing, when that dog starts turning into whatever it turns into, man, I still just have a big old smile on my face. My eyes go big. And man, it's just such a joy to watch the practical effects in this movie. They're absolutely incredible, just so unique and creative and disturbing and weird in the best ways possible. Just absolutely phenomenal practical effects work in this movie that make this thing an absolute classic. I have to point out, though, my favorite specific design of the thing is later on in the movie when they're burning one of the bodies and the head detaches from itself off the table to try to get away. And you have like these spider legs that stick out of the head and it starts crawling away. Man, it's phenomenal. I'm not a spider fan. Spiders kind of freak me out a little bit. So that design with the spider legs out of the head is just awesome, and I love it. Also, I have to mention the cinematography in this is just great. That blue and orange color palette predominantly is just awesome. When you get them exterior shots outside in the frozen Arctic cold, that just that cold, harsh blue color, and then they light them road flares, and you get just that nice warm glow that lights up the scene. Man, just from a visual perspective, it's absolutely awesome. And even some of the interior shots too, I really like just how they're lit as you get this lot of sort of this like overhead lighting. And I just kind of like just the shadows and just sort of that effect that it gives. The lighting, the colors in this movie are just great. And there's just so many great scenes in this movie that I just have to talk about. Even just particular shots, individual shots that are just iconic. The scene where you really get the first human victim, and Bennings is the guy, the first one to go, as they chase him out into the Arctic cold, and he looks up at him, and again, you get that nice orange glow, and you see his face, and he just looks like the normal guy, and then you look down and you see his hands, and they're all just like mutilated and messed up and everything, and then he opens his mouth and lets out that horrifying demonic scream, and you're just, again, there's so many times in this movie where I'm just like, eyes are wide, smile on my face. It's just fantastic. Another great scene is a little bit later on, about an hour into it, where they go to look at the blood supply and they discover that the blood has been stolen. And this is when you just really feel kind of the weight and the intensity of the fear and the paranoia as the accusations start flying and the fingers are pointing and they're looking back and forth. And it's such a well written scene, and even some of the editing too. And it's just, man, it's really well done. Another small scene that I really like, it actually kind of gets a little chuckle out of me because Blair, the doctor, who's played by Wilford Brimley, ends up kind of going crazy, and they put him out kind of in this isolated room. And Kurt Russell goes out there a little bit later to visit him, and he opens up the little latch in the door, and he's trying to, tell him, he's like, "Listen, I'm all better now. I can come out now." Meanwhile, there's a literal noose hanging in the background of the shot. And I don't know, it just makes me laugh because he's sitting there trying to like act normal, like everything's fine, and you got a noose in the background. It's just a nice little visual shot there I really like. Another aspect of the thing that I really like is that this movie has some genuinely great surprises in it. One in particular that I like is where they think that Kurt Russell is the thing, and so they're kind of moving in on him, threatening to attack him and jump him, and of course, Kurt Russell's got the gun and he's threatening to shoot, and it seems like tensions kind of subside for a second, and then Clark, who's got a scalpel, tries to attack him, and Russell just turns around and boom, blows him right in the head. Just a great kind of surprising, unexpected moment. Obviously, the scene with the blood test is absolutely fantastic. One of the best, genuinely great jump scares in all horror movie history, in my opinion. This is how you effectively do a jump scare. This sequence is absolutely phenomenal. I actually found myself holding my breath for part of this scene as I was watching it this last time. And man, when you get the jump, when that blood pops out of that little dish, man, oh, it's so well done. I just love the suspense and just the building of the tension. And man, we are just hooked in. I absolutely love it.
You were the only one that could have got to that blood. will do you last.
I also really like what the film does from a writing and storytelling perspective, in that we never actually know who the thing is. We never see it transform into another person. And so we, as the audience, experience this movie just like the characters. We don't have a clue who the thing is. And that's just such a great decision that makes the movie scarier. And finally, I have to talk about the ending, because the ending to The Thing, I think, is absolutely perfect. I think it's one of the best horror movie endings of all time. I love the ambiguity, and I love that it is pretty much a cliffhanger of an ending. And now I feel like 9.9 times out of 10, sort of that cliffhanger ending wouldn't work for me, but this is the absolute perfect execution of it. When Keith David and Kurt Russell are just sitting down in the snow, and Kurt Russell's just like, well, we'll just sit here and see what happens. And then credits roll. Oh man, it's so good. I love that it gives you, it doesn't ever resolve that fear and that paranoia. It ends with this everlasting paranoia that we don't know. And man, it's such a great ending, one of the best of all time in my opinion. So those are my thoughts on The Thing. I absolutely love this thing. It is absolutely great. And so hit me up down in the comments though. Let me know what you love about this movie. I would love to hear from you. Thank you once again for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you like videos like this, that's what I do on The Haunted Beard. It is all horror and thriller movie content. Hit that red subscribe button for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Once again, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on The Haunted Beard.